Imagine spending hundreds of billions of dollars building a railway that doesn't make money. Now imagine doing it again and again until you've built 50,000 kilometers of high-speed rail, more than the rest of the world combined. That's exactly what China has done. But here's the part that doesn't make sense. Many of these railways lose money. Some lines struggle to attract enough passengers to cover their enormous construction and operating costs. Others were built into regions where the economic growth they were supposed to create never fully arrived. So why would China keep pouring billions into a railway network that loses money? Welcome to Simple Concepts Explained. Today we're pulling back the curtain on why China built the world's most ambitious railway network, why it loses billions every year, and why Beijing believes the losses might actually be worth it. To understand this story, we first need to understand just how massive China's railway experiment really is. By 2025, China's high-speed rail network passed 50,000 kilometers of track. That is more than the rest of the world combined. Just 5 years earlier, the network was around 38,000 kilometers. In half a decade, China added more high-speed rail than many countries have built in their entire history. Today, high-speed trains connect almost every major Chinese city, and the government plans to expand the network even further over the next decade. But underneath these impressive numbers is a surprising reality. A large portion of these railway lines are not profitable. Only a handful of routes, such as the famous Beijing to Shanghai line, generate significant profits. The rest rely on government support and continue operating despite losing money. On paper, this looks like a disaster, but this was never really designed to be just a railway business. To understand why, we have to go back to where high-speed rail began. In 1964, Japan introduced the world to the Shinkansen, often called the bullet train. It was revolutionary. Trains could travel faster than anything that had come before, but Japan had one major advantage. It was a wealthy, densely populated country where demand already existed. For decades, the assumption was that high-speed rail only worked in places like Japan and Europe. Large countries with huge distances, such as the United States, Russia, or India, were considered too difficult and too expensive. And China seemed like the least likely candidate of all. The country stretches around 5,000 kilometers from east to west. Most of the wealth and industry is concentrated along the eastern coast, while huge parts of the interior are separated by mountains, deserts, and enormous distances. For decades, this created a major problem. The coastal cities were becoming global economic centers, while many inland regions struggled to keep up because they were simply too far away. Before high-speed rail, traveling across China was slow. Some journeys between major cities could take more than 20 hours. For Beijing, connecting these regions was not just about transport. It was about economic integration. The first major test came in 2008 before the Beijing Olympics. China opened a high-speed line between Beijing and Tianjin, allowing trains to complete the journey in just 30 minutes. The project was a success. Passengers were willing to pay for speed, and that single discovery changed everything. China decided it would not simply build individual railway lines, it would build an entire national network. The scale was unprecedented. But building so quickly came with consequences. In 2011, a high-speed rail accident near Wenzhou killed dozens of people and exposed serious problems within the system. Investigators found failures in signaling, safety procedures, and oversight. The government slowed construction, reviewed the entire program, and restructured the railway industry. But after improvements were made, expansion continued. By the late 2000s and 10s, China had developed its own high-speed trains, including the Fuxing series, capable of reaching speeds of 350 kilometers per hour. So how did China build tens of thousands of kilometers of railway so quickly? The answer was simple: scale. China built huge sections of the network using standardized designs and enormous construction capacity. A kilometer of high-speed rail in China can cost significantly less than similar projects in Europe or the United States. One reason is volume. When a country builds thousands of kilometers of the same type of railway, everything becomes cheaper. Materials, labor, equipment, and planning can all be streamlined. China also had another advantage: land. Building railways through major cities in many countries can take decades because of expensive land purchases, negotiations, and legal challenges. China's government had far more control over where and how these lines were built. This allowed construction to happen at a speed few other countries could match. But this created another unusual problem. Many stations were built far away from the cities they served. Instead of expensive city center stations, China often built enormous new stations on cheaper land outside urban areas. The idea was that the railway would come first and development would follow. Sometimes this worked. New districts grew around stations, creating new economic centers. But sometimes it didn't. Some stations opened in areas where the expected development never arrived, leaving huge facilities operating far below capacity. And this brings us back to the biggest question. Why build these lines if they lose money? Because China does not measure the success of its railway system in the same way a normal company would. A railway company asks, does this route make a profit? China asks a different question. What does this railway do for the entire country? The goal was not simply moving passengers from one city to another. The goal was connecting an entire economy. High-speed rail allowed workers, businesses, and investment to move more easily between regions. A smaller inland city could suddenly become connected to wealthy coastal areas. Companies could access new markets. People could travel for business, education, and tourism in ways that were impossible before. The railway was not just transportation. It was an economic development tool. One of the clearest examples is China's Greater Bay Area. This region includes cities such as Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, and Macau. Together, these cities form one of the world's largest economic zones. High-speed rail allows them to function almost like one giant connected city. A company can raise money in Hong Kong, develop technology in Shenzhen, and manufacture products in Guangzhou, all within a single day. China's wider strategy is to create multiple connected city clusters across the country. The railway network is the infrastructure holding this idea together. However, this strategy comes with a huge cost. The debt created by building this network is enormous. Some economists argue that China built too many lines too quickly and that many routes may never justify their cost. Maintaining tens of thousands of kilometers of high-speed track will require enormous spending for decades. Even China has started becoming more cautious, introducing stricter requirements for new projects and slowing expansion in weaker-performing regions. So the question remains, was China's high-speed rail network a brilliant long-term investment or one of the most expensive infrastructure gambles in history? The answer depends on how you measure success. If you judge it purely as a business, much of the network is a failure. But if you view it as a tool for reshaping an entire country, the calculation becomes far more complicated. China built railway lines before the demand existed, betting that the infrastructure itself would create new economic opportunities. And that is what makes this project so unique. Other countries can buy Chinese trains, they can study the technology, but copying the entire system is almost impossible. It requires the ability to build at enormous scale, control land, accept massive debt, and think decades into the future. China's high-speed rail network may be one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects ever created. Whether it becomes one of history's greatest investments or one of its largest financial mistakes is something only time will reveal. But one thing is certain, China has completely changed what the world thought was possible with rail. Thanks for watching Simple Concepts Explained. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more explanations behind the world's biggest engineering projects, industries, and ideas.